Good day. This is Mom Strawberry C. Versosa, or you can call me Mom Straw. For today's lesson, we are going to discuss evidences of evolution. Again, this is from Pivot for a Learner's Packet or LEAP. Come on, let's start. Do you know why dinosaurs no longer exist today? Why some animals before are very different from the animals we have now? From grade 7 to grade 9, you have learned that organisms are grouped into kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. You also learn that organisms possess unique characteristics. Some organisms may also look the same but have distinct differences from each other. Others may not be related to one another but have similar functional features and characteristics. You may also wonder why some animals that are present before are no longer existing today. Some extinctions of organisms were caused by various environmental factors and human activities. This lesson will explain how fossil records, comparative anatomy, embryonic development, and genetic information provide evidence for evolution. A famed philosopher once said, "The only thing that is constant in this world is change." Many people may agree because changes are evident in the surroundings, and one of these is evolution. So, what is evolution? Evolution is the gradual change in population's genetic and physical traits. This can only be observed after a long period of time. It is the reason why organisms come in different shapes and sizes, why some animals can fly or swim, why flowers have different colors, and why humans look the way they do. As time goes by, scientists discover many things that lead them to further believe in the process of evolution through the help of some evidences. These are fossil records, comparative anatomy, embryonic development, and genetic information. In the past lesson, we have learned that heredity is possible because of deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA that carries the genetic information of living things. It carries all the essential information needed by every cell to function. DNA has its components and replicates itself so that they could carry out their cellular functions. On the other hand, protein synthesis is the process of making protein dictated by the DNA. We also learned that genetic mutations are caused by irregularities in DNA sequence. Now that we know something about heredity, we can now understand how DNA became one of the evidences of evolution. This module will give you an idea about the possible evidences for evolution, such as fossil records and developmental and molecular biology. It will also provide a variety of activities to help you understand the processes and mechanism of evolution. For our first evidence, we have evidences from fossil records. So what are fossils? Fossils are remnants or remains of ancient organisms. They are traces of organisms that lived in the past and were preserved by natural processes or catastrophic events. They can be remains of organisms, which includes bones, shells, teeth, and also feces embedded in rocks, peat, resins, and ice. They give us a picture of how organisms have changed over time. Paleontologists who study a certain fossil consider its age, the place where it was found, and the type of environment of organism lived in. Some types of fossils can be found in the layers of the sedimentary rocks, while others are trapped in amber. Do you know how paleontologists usually determines the age of a fossil? Paleontologists makes initial estimates of the age through the position in the sedimentary rocks. Fossils found in the bottom layer are much older than those found in the upper layers of rocks. Both biologists and geologists date the history of the Earth with the help of geologic timescale or GTS. The GTS organizes the history of the Earth. Noting the major changes or events, it uses evidences from fossils and geologic records to identify the organisms that existed during a particular time in the past and reveal how the Earth and its climate were like. Using the GTS, scientists have estimated that the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old and divided this into a series of units based on the order in which different groups of rocks and fossils were formed, namely Eon, Era, Period, and Epoch. Era is the largest division of geologic time scale, namely Precambrian, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic. Each era is further divided into period. Do you now know how fossils help us travel back through time? How fossils can reveal so much about the past? And how can it show how organisms evolved through years? Aside from fossils, other evidences can also help us believe in the process of evolution. Next one is the comparative anatomy. So what is comparative anatomy? Comparative anatomy is the study of the body structures of animals to know how they have evolved from the likes of their common ancestors for the purpose of adapting to their environment. Comparative anatomy possesses two main ideas or concepts. These are homologous structures and analogous structures. What are homologous structures? Homologous structures means similarities in the body structures of different species, which may have come from common ancestors. These structures do not have necessarily have the same function. For example, the forelimbs of human and cat have different functions, but they have similar skeletal structure. The forelimbs of whale and bats have also different function, but they have similar bone structures. These similarities may have been caused by their common ancestry. Next one is the analogous structures. Structures of unrelated species may evolve to look alike because the structures is adapted to similar function. These are called analogous structures. Analogous structures have similar function but different origin. Like a bird's wing and a bat's wing have the same function, but these are not evidences that they came from common ancestor. The similarity only reflects similar needs brought about the environment. Next one is the embryonic development. Another evidences of evolution is the study of developing organism or embryology. Scientists use embryos to compare one organism to another to see how they are related with each other. The embryos of vertebrates look alike on their early stages. An embryologist named Carl Ernest von Baer collected several embryos of different organisms but didn't label them. He had a problem whether the embryo he has holding is a salamander or a fish. This led him to an observation that the more similar the embryos are, the more they are related with each other. The embryo of fishes, salamander, lizard, bird, cat, and human are similar during the first stage of their embryonic development and have similar homologous structure that are not present when the organisms are adult. Studies show that species that are closely related exhibit similar embryonic development, even when in adult stage the organisms are quite different. Another evidences of evolution is provided by the biochemical analysis and amino acid sequence of organisms' DNA. The greater the similarity in amino acid sequence, the closer the relationship of the organisms. The organisms which are similar in structure and also possess similarity at the biochemical level could probably have a common ancestor. Look at this table. It shows the differences of amino acids of humans from the other organisms. Let's have our learning task number 1. Homologous or analogous. You are going to decide whether the anatomical structures listed are examples of homologous structures or analogous structures. For number 1, for number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Again, you are going to decide whether the anatomical structures are examples of homologous or analogous structures. Then for our learning task number 2, you are going to write a short essay proving that vertebrates evolved from a common ancestor. Lastly, we have our learning task number 3. Choose the correct answer. For number 1, where can most of the fossils be found? A. Black soil, B. Granite rock, C. Lava flows, D. Sedimentary rock. Question number 2. In which era can the oldest fossils be found? A. Cenozoic, B. Mesozoic, C. Paleozoic, D. Precambrian. Question number 3. Based on the number of differences in amino acid sequence, which pair of organism is least related to each other? A. Fruit fly and pigeon, B. Fruit fly and wheat, C. Human and horse, D. Human and wheat. For question number 4. According to evolutionists, which is best test to show the relatedness of two organisms? A. Similarity in structure, B. Similarity in development, C. Similarity in genomic DNA, D. Similarity in courting behavior. For question number 5, which pairs of animals show a correct example of homologous structure? A. Wings of butterfly and wings of bat, B. Flipper of whale and forelimb of cat, C. Fingers of human and arm of starfish, D. Tongue of frog and proboscis of mosquito. For our reflection, you are going to write your personal insight about the lesson. I understand that, I realize that, I need to learn more about. And for our references, we have Science 10 Learner's Material pages 299 to 316 and our Pivot 4A Learner's Packet or LEAP. Special thanks to Jeanette B. Katangi and Nicanor O. Reyes II. That's all for today. Thank you and God bless.